Welcome to Electros Classroom Series. I am Daniel Qureshi, and today, my dear friends, we'll see the concept of impedance matching and maximum power transfer theorem, which I can guarantee that 99.99% students misunderstand or they just don't have a complete understanding of it. Okay, so let's see the concept of impedance matching. For example, if you want to transfer the power from source to load, and if you want maximum of the power to be delivered from the source to load, then it is important that we equalize both of these impedances. Okay, that is, we keep our load impedance ZL equal to our source impedance ZS. Now ZS is basically the internal impedance provided by any source, okay, and almost every source has its own internal impedance, okay, like the battery has, okay. So we have to keep our load impedance ZL equal to our source impedance ZS. Now impedance is basically the effective opposition to the electric current which is contributed by the resistance as well as the reactances, okay. So this is important in the case of AC circuits, okay, where we consider impedances. But in the case of DC circuits, the impedance is only contributed by the pure resistance, okay, when it is purely resistive circuit, okay, in DC circuits basically. So there we can replace the impedances by their internal resistances, okay. So in that case, we'll replace our load resistance, or basically make our load resistance equal to the source resistance itself. And this is actually what is known as the maximum power transfer theorem. Now many of you might be saying that we already know this. Well, it's good if you know at least this, but this is not the complete picture. The real game starts after this. So first, let's see mathematically how exactly the maximum power transfer theorem or impedance matching works. Here you can see in this circuit we have a load resistance RL which we wish to drive, and here we also have a voltage source which is powering. And this RS is nothing but the internal impedance of the source, okay, which we earlier talked about, that is RS. And the same current is flowing through the load resistance which is also flowing through this internal impedance RS, as this is a series circuit, okay. So here the power which is delivered to the load is actually governed by the equation I square RL, okay. This is a very basic equation for the power. So here the current is basically the same current flowing through both of the resistances, and this is our load resistance RL, because we have to find the power dissipated or delivered to the load. Hence we are using the term RL, because we have to find the resistance of this particular resistance, okay. Now in this equation you can see that both the terms are actually opposite, okay. They basically follow an opposite trend. Now exactly how, let's see. Because once we increase this RL, okay, if we increase the RL, it means that we'll have a high load impedance, okay. So high load impedance, this will definitely decrease the current, okay, flowing through it, okay, because this is also contributing to the current flowing through the circuit, okay. So that's why it will decrease the current. So from here you can see that there is an opposite relationship between these two variables. And similarly, like this, when we decrease the load resistance RL, then we'll increase the current because we are decreasing the path resistance, okay. So definitely there is an opposite relationship, and that's why it suggests that there will be a sweet spot, a very equilibrium point where this power will be maximum. And exactly this is how the theorem works, and we'll see using the mathematical equation. So first we'll replace this I, which is the circuit current flowing through both of these resistances, using the Ohm's law, where I equal to V by R, okay. So R will be nothing but the complete circuit resistance, which is RS plus RL, and so we have written RS plus RL whole squared into RL, okay. Now let's assume some values, okay, just for calculation, okay. So we'll substitute V with 10 volts, okay, and RS equal to 1 volts. Okay, so with these assumptions, we'll now plug in different values for this load resistance RL. For the sake of demonstration, we have taken 5 different values for the RL. You can see 0.25, 0.51, 1.25 and 1.5 ohms, okay. So we'll also record the corresponding power delivered to the load using this equation, and you can see these are the different values which are recorded. As we have kept the value of source resistance RS equal to 1 ohms, we can clearly see from here that while we increase the value of load resistance RL and approach towards the same value of 1 ohms, we can see a clear uptrend in the power delivered to the load, starting from the 16 watts to 25 watts. But after that point, if we further increase the load resistance RL, after that we can see a clear downtrend, okay, from 25 watts to 24 watts. And the maximum power that we are getting is around the same value of 1 ohms, okay, that is the same as the source resistance, which is we are getting 25 watts. And if we graph that, we'll get something like this, okay, where the power will peak at 25 watts, and that same corresponding point at the RL axis will be the same 1 ohms, which is equal to the source resistance. And this exact point is referred to as maximum power transfer point. Okay, let us see how much efficient this circuit is in delivering power to the load. So the efficiency equation is output power by input power into 100%. So the output power is nothing but the power which is delivered to the load resistance RL. That's why it is I squared into RL. Now I is actually common to both of the resistances as they both are in series. Okay. And the input power is the total power that we are delivering to both of these resistances. Okay. So that is nothing but I squared, that is the common current, into the path resistance or complete path resistance, which is Rs plus RL, okay, into 100. So now according to the condition of the maximum power transfer theorem, we have to make our load resistance RL equal to the Rs. So, or you can say that we can replace Rs with RL, okay, either way. So RL plus RL, okay, and here we'll get twice RL, and we'll cancel the RL, and 100 by 2 will effectively be 50%. And this efficiency of 50% is very much self-explanatory and logical, because if you are keeping the value of load resistance RL equal to the RS, if they both are equal, then definitely they both will consume half of the power, okay, and that's why if we are concerned with the power which is delivered to the load and its efficiency, then it will be half of the complete power which is drawn. So from this we can infer that the maximum efficiency of any electronic device cannot exceed 50%, right? Wrong. It is actually wrong statement. We can have devices having efficiencies as high as 90 to 98%. Let's see how. Now please remember that the condition of maximum power transfer, which is stated by the maximum power transfer theorem, does not result in maximum efficiency, which is very important. Okay, definitely we can achieve higher efficiencies than 50%, but then we have to compensate with the maximum power that is transferred. Okay, we have to work with lower powers. Okay, now let's see the reason why this is so. Here you can see a combined graph of eta, that is efficiency, and the power which is delivered to the load. Okay, this continuous line and this dotted line is for the efficiency with respect to the load resistance RL. Okay, so when we change the RL, this graph actually shows us the variation in efficiency and the maximum power. Okay, so it is very logical. You can see from here that at this point, okay, at this particular point where the power is maximum, when we are getting the maximum power delivered to the load, the efficiency is actually 50%, okay, as calculated earlier. But even after that point we can increase the efficiency, okay, you can see, but with a catch that our maximum power, okay, which we can transfer, will now be reduced. Okay, you can see that the maximum power which can be transferred at higher efficiencies is very much lesser than that of the maximum power which could be transferred at 50% efficiency. Okay, so very logically from here we can also see that this internal resistance Rs should be as low as possible, because we want to transfer maximum of the power to our load and not dissipate it as a heat in this internal resistance. That's why it is ideally zero, but practically it is very less, as few ohms, like 10 ohms, 20 ohms or 50 ohms. And if the value of load resistance RL is greater than Rs, then definitely maximum of the power will be delivered to the load and will be dissipated by the load and not by the internal resistance Rs, and this will definitely increase the efficiency from 50% to higher. As you can see from here that if we increase the value of load resistance from 1 ohms to 2 ohms, okay, in the earlier example, then we are increasing the efficiency because we are using more power in this load resistance itself than the internal resistance. So there are two most important conclusions to be remembered. One, that is we can never exceed 50% efficiency if we want the maximum available power from the source. Okay, this is very evident from this. Here you can see that there is only a single point where you can get the maximum power, and that maximum power point actually corresponds to only 50% of the efficiency. So we cannot exceed 50% efficiency if we want the maximum power. Okay, and the second one is that we can achieve efficiencies higher than 50%, like 80% or 90% or even 98% in the case of SMPS or the switching mode power supplies, but we will get power less than the maximum power. Okay, we can see it from here. For higher efficiencies, the power is actually lesser than the maximum power which we can source from that source, or we can take from that source. Okay, definitely it is lower than what we get at 50% efficiencies. So definitely we can get efficiencies higher, but we'll have to compensate it for the lesser power. Okay, so in the cases where we require maximum of the power to be delivered to the load, even if our efficiency is just 50%, are applications like in antennas. So there is always an impedance matching between antenna and its preceding amplifier output stage. Okay, if there is any impedance mismatch between antenna and the preceding stage, then there will be signal reflections occurring. Okay, and which we should avoid at any cost. Okay, there should be as low signal reflections, as minimum signal reflections as possible, because signal reflections actually degrade the original signal and hence they reduce the maximum distance to which the signal can be transmitted. And the applications which require efficiencies higher than 50%, like 80% or 90%, include the AC power grid. Okay, the power grid that we use in our day-to-day lives, and also the batteries, where we prefer efficiency more than the power which is available. And that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the lecture, and if you did, then please like, share and subscribe. Comment down below if you have any questions, queries or any suggestions. Thanks for watching and see you there.